And we'll do it live. We'll do it live. The title of this video is something about how much I dislike Michael Flynn. I can't remember exactly how I worded it, but I really dislike. You know what? It's not that I hate the guy. It's just that I find him to be incredibly useless. Actually, like he seems like he would be a great asset, but then you actually listen to what he says, and he's not. So he's just like a big disappointment. He's always just a big disappointment. So he's on Twitter posting, given this current situation in the Middle East taking shape, there is a significant power realignment, and it is emerging rapidly. Keep in mind, World War I, the Great War, the war to end all wars, began as a regional conflict. Okay. The message is becoming more clear by the day. Without Turkey, the second largest military ally in NATO, at the table, no viable solution in Syria or northern Iraq or Iran, for that matter, is possible. Solution to what? Solution to what, Michael Flynn? Solution to what? What is the problem you are trying to solve? And on behalf of who? Solution to what? Do you catch that? Let me explain to you. He says, without Turkey at the table, Turkey, the fake country called Turkey, the Islamic invaders called Turkey, without them, part of NATO, at the table, no viable solution to Syria, or no viable solution in Syria or northern Iraq or Iran is possible. As a vital geostrategic partner with who? Partner with who? So you're saying you want to be partners with the Islamic invading foreign invaders called the Turks that exterminated the Christians to take over our territory. Those are your allies. That's what you're saying. That's what you're saying. You're saying that the invading people who took and stole and are occupying Christian lands, that we need to ally with them to have a solution for Syria and Iran. What's the problem with what's wrong with Syria? The problem with Syria is Turkey. The problem with Syria is the fake Yidishistan. Your partners in Yidishistan, the satanic order of Yidishistan. So what the problem? Like you're trying to find a solution for Syria? No, you're the problem, General Flynn. You are the problem. You are the problem. Your allies are the problem. Your Al-Qaeda terrorist allies are the problem. You're the problem. You're anti-Christ. That's the problem. The problem is that you hate Christ. You hate Christ, and you're allied with Al-Qaeda. So there's nothing to solve with Syria except for you. You are the problem. Let's continue with Michael Flynn's idiotic statement. He calls the Islamic terror state of invaders called Turkey as a vital geostrategic partner. Okay, does that sound like a Christian to you? Turkey's actions have demonstrated it is the indispensable actor in the region. To avoid the inevitable expansion of this regional conflict, we must recognize their ability to balance competing interests while prioritizing their own security and national interests. Why don't we just get rid of Turkey? Why don't we use the U.S. government to get rid of Turkey and put in a Christian order? Oh, we can't do that. No. We have to have secularism. So he goes on to say, I fully recognize the rise of Islamism in Turkey, and it is why the U.S. must challenge Turkey to remain a secular and open society. Who does this sound like? It must remain a secular and open society. Who's pushing the secular open society? Soros, Kagan, the whole B'nai B'rith mafia, and the Jesuits this is their whole program since the mid 1700s. This is the Jesuit mafia, Jewish mafia syndicate program. That's who this is. He's just repeating their propaganda. It's antichrist propaganda, which keeps the Muslims in power, keeps the Christians out. That's what this whole thing is. So this is what Michael Flynn is saying. I fully recognize the rise of Islamism in Turkey, and it is why the U.S. must challenge Turkey to remain a secular and open society. That is the Talmudo-Jesuit B'nai B'rith Mafia Syndicate program. That's what Michael Flynn is promoting. The Antichrist, the global Antichrist program that denies Christ, that denies that Christ is the supreme king. So he doesn't believe that. He doesn't believe that the truth called Christ, the light bearer, is the supreme king, and that we need to have our governmental system, which is of Christ, the supreme light bearer, king of the universe. That is who our king. Like, he doesn't believe that. He wants secularism, an open society where we have Jews and Muslims and fake Christianity. We already have that, and that's why all of our societies have been ruined. He's not calling for getting rid of Erdogan. He's calling for shoring up Erdogan and working with Erdogan, and it's just ridiculous. So he says, this is another wake-up call for U.S. foreign policy makers of our pathetic, practically non-existent security strategy for the entire Middle East. No. See, this is just his bullshit. He just wants the status quo. He wants to remain a secular society allied with Muslims and allied with Jews, where he works for the rabbis, and the rabbis get the Middle East, and we work for the rabbis, and he's just a Zionist. Zionist means not Christian. Like, literally, Zionist, if you call it, there's no such thing as a Zionist Christian. A Zionist is someone who follows the rabbis, which is the religion of, the religion of Christianity. The whole story of Jesus is about how the rabbis had Jesus, they argued with him, and then they arrested him, tortured him, and then they killed him at a place called Golgotha, which is the skull, because Jesus is the light, which is the truth. He's the eternal light bearer from God in Genesis 1:3, the light, when God said, let there be light. So General Flynn doesn't believe that. General Flynn follows the rabbis, and the rabbis want secularism, because that keeps the rabbis in power. The secularism, the secular governmental system keeps the rabbis in power, right? And if you're against the rabbis, you're what's called an anti-Semite. But Christ is the light, and Shem means the sun or the light. See, Christ is the light, not the rabbis. So you have a choice. You can either set up secular governments run by the rabbis and the Jesuit syndicate that works with the rabbis. The Jesuits are all secularized. That's all secular. It's the secularization of Christianity, which is basically like I don't want to go into their philosophy, but it's the 666 secularization. It's turning the teachings of Christ into flesh teachings, carnality. It's the carnality. It's getting rid of Christ, the light bearer, and making it about some kind of weird. It's just some perversion. It's a perversion of Christianity called the Jesuit order, and they're basically an ally or working in a syndicate with the rabbinical mafia, and that's who Michael Flynn serves. He wants secularism, which is what we already have. That's what ruined Europe. That's why Europe is a gigantic toilet. That's why London is an Islamic Al-Qaeda base, because of secularism. So anyway, he goes on to say the U.S. must recognize that its relationship with Turkey is pivotal to achieving long-term stability in the Middle East. No, it's not. We should get rid of the Turkish government and bring in a Christian order that rules all of Anatolia. So you got to understand that territory called Turkiya. Well, the Turks are foreign invaders that took that territory, and they allied with the rabbis to kill off the Christians. And that's who Mike Flynn wants to ally with. That territory was originally a Christian territory. Before that, it was an ancient Aryan homeland called Hattusha, and they spoke an ancient Indo-Aryan language the Hittite people. That's many of our words in Latin and German come from Hattusha. That's where the word licht, lucht comes from. I mean, I don't want to go into the whole etymology of it, but that is one of our ancestral European lands. And Mike Flynn wants to hand it off to Muslims and secularists from Turkey, from Turkmenistan, from Central Asia. So he's basically stabbing the white race, the Christian people in the neck, just stabbing them in the neck. That's what Mike Flynn wants to do to you and your family and Jesus Christ, because he hates you. He wants secularism. He wants to work with Al Qaeda. And we'll just call him secular Al Qaeda. As long as they're secular, it's fine. That's Mike Flynn. That's what, he's just a big disappointment. That's what he is. It's not that it's, when I look at him, I don't think, oh, I hate this guy. I do think, what a stupid man he really is. Like, I know what he's trying to do, and it's idiotic. It doesn't work. That's what I'm saying. His plan for the world is idiotic because it has to do with secularism, and it has to do with allying with Muslims and making everything secular and working with the rabbis and having the rabbis run it. Like, he's just a shill for that whole status quo that brought us to the point of extinction as Western civilization. He is the reason why Western civilization has failed and continues to fail. This is why. See, because somewhere along the line, people didn't realize that we had everything. That Christ is the light bearer, and there's nothing beyond the truth. The truth is the light, and Christ is the truth. And so we worship the truth. Forget all the mythology and all the storytelling and all that stuff. Just as a practical, literal understanding that we worship the truth, literally the truth, and that is the light. And the light has a dual meaning, right? I'm saying that unless you make that the ultimate thing, then you're going to get sucked into these stupid, idiotic, failed systems that we're at, which is, let's ally with the secular Muslims. That's so dumb, dude. Let's bring in the secular. It's okay if the Muslims, we'll bring them all into London and we'll bring them all into America. We'll just replace our whole race with these secular Muslims because we need cheap labor, or it just can't be too white because they have this whole program, and Mike Flynn just follows right along. I'm sure he's got a nice family. He comes from a nice family. I'm sure he has nice friends. I'm sure he's a nice guy, but being nice isn't everything. A lot of stupid people are nice. Even well-meaning people are nice, and they've got nice families, and they've got nice children, and they got nice grandchildren, and that doesn't mean they're not stupid. So let's continue with Mike Flynn here. The U.S. must recognize that its relationship with Turkey is pivotal to achieving long-term stability in the Middle East. No, we could just get rid of Turkey and we could deal with Iran and Syria. What's wrong with that? Oh, because the Jews will get mad at us. Who said I'm not Jewish? Who cares? There's no such thing. Israel isn't Jewish. Israel is Christ. So that's not even my religion. So everyone's supposed to be secular, but we're all supposed to come under the rabbis. So then we're not secular. So we're really just under the rabbis. You see how that works? So we're not. So let's all be secular, okay? And then we'll just put the rabbis in charge of everything. Okay. I see your little program, liar. Anyway, serious consideration must be given to strengthening this alliance and not further resetting the very turbulent relationship of the past. He's talking about with, okay, so it says here, while the damage done under Obama and Biden administrations cannot be undone overnight. Okay, see, this is what they do. They try to say that, it's this other people that have just damaged relations and that we're going to make it even stronger. But the thing that they're strengthening is something that nobody wants. If you're a Christian, you don't want a stronger alliance with Turkish Muslims, Al Qaeda. You don't want a stronger alliance with Al Qaeda. That's all it is. It doesn't matter if they're it doesn't see his whole thing. Oh, but they're secular. Well, we just got to call them secular. It's all BS, man. That's what I'm saying. This doesn't work. And so what happens is when the Republicans get in, they're like, we're going to strengthen our alliances with the Muslims, with the terrorists, with Al Qaeda, with the rabbis. See, we're going to have an even stronger alliance with the rabbis and a stronger alliance with Al Qaeda. Well, that's not what we want. I'd rather have alliance with Russia and the Orthodox Church of Russia and the Orthodox Church in Palestine and the Orthodox Church in Syria and the Orthodox Christian Church in Egypt. Why don't we have that, General Flynn? Oh, we can't have that. We got to be secular and have Muslims running everything and rabbis. That's what it's all about. That's why they're so full of shit. It's just all bullshit. It's all bullshit. Just like it's the same thing with the guy in England right now. What's his name? Nigel Farage. Oh, well, we got to work with the Muslims. I mean, we just won't. You got to work with them to get elected so that you can have what? What's the point of having the UK if it's not for the British people? You see what I mean? What's the point of having what's the point of having Syria and this territory called Anatolia if it's not for the Christian people? What's the point? There is no point. If it's not for, like, there's no point. You're wasting everybody's time. You're wasting everybody's resources on foreign populations, on foreign religions, right? You're wasting all of our time. You're wasting all of our time on stuff that doesn't matter, right? The Muslim religion doesn't matter. It's all a waste of time, right? The rabbis don't matter. The rabbis are a waste of everybody's time and everybody's resources. So all this stuff that you're trying to get us to ally with and invest with and be part of is all a giant waste of our time. We are the white European Christian populations of the world, and you, General Flynn, are a waste of our time because you want to ally with Muslims and the secularists and the rabbis and Yiddishistan. That's a complete waste of everybody's time. You are wasting my time. You and all the people associated with you are a waste of everybody's time. Anybody who's Christian or white and European, sure, you're not the waste of the time to the rabbis. The rabbis love you. The Al Qaeda love you. Okay, but I don't. My goal is to challenge our thinking as we appear to be heading into the inevitable world war. He keeps talking about this. When the Jews started exterminating people in Gaza right after the Islamic jihadi Hamas garbage stuff, when the Jews started exterminating all the Palestinians, he was on there going, well, we just, it's going to be pretty ugly, but we just got to, we got to just stick with our allies. That's how he is all the time. He's just a shill for this whole rabbinical, it's an alliance between rabbis, Al Qaeda, and then rabbis, Al Qaeda, and Jesuits. That's like the syndicate right there. It's rabbis, it's Al Qaeda, and it's Jesuits. And they're all part of the syndicate of antichrist, global genocide and death. And we're supposed to think this is some kind of great alliance. Idiotic. It's totally idiotic. Global war is at our doorstep once again. No, it's not. See, here's the thing, Mike. Let me tell you something, Mike. Global war is not at our doorstep if we don't support Al Qaeda. You see, we don't have to be against Assad. You're against Assad because you're a Zionist and you work for rabbis. You see, you're not Christian. You don't worship the truth. You believe that the rabbis are part of the equation, right? That's part of your political equation is working with the rabbis in Yiddishistan. Okay, that has nothing to do with that's irrelevant. The rabbis have nothing. If you're a Christian, you don't need rabbis. You don't need Yiddishistan because you have Christ. You don't need Al Qaeda because you have Christ. You don't need Erdogan and Al Qaeda. And see, that's not a Christian land. That's not our territory. If you want to restore Anatolia and you want to restore Constantinople, then the best people that we could possibly work with to do that would be the Russians and the Syrians and Lebanon, who also has Christian population. See, Mike, if you wanna make Anatolia into a Christian land, which I know that you don't. I know that you don't care about restoring Constantinople and Anatolia and restoring it to Christianity. I know that you don't care about that. But if you did, your natural allies would be the Russians and the Lebanon, the people in Lebanon, and the Syrians, Assad. Those would be your natural allies. You see? That's who your natural allies. But who are your allies, Mike Flynn? Your allies are Al Qaeda and Erdogan and Zelensky, who's Jewish, and Yiddishistan, which is not Israel. It's called Yiddishistan because Israel means followers of God's light, which is Christ. There is no other light but Christ. That is it, from Genesis 1:3. If you don't know that, then you're not a Christian. That is the only light. That's the light that came to Moses. That's the light that came to Abraham. That's the light that came to Noah. All of them. It's Christ, the light. The word of God is called Christ, the light. So if you don't know that, see, that's why our natural so you're saying, oh, we're heading into world war, and we got to stick with our allies. It says here, global war is at our doorstep once again. This time, the U.S. domestic landscape is not untouchable. Well, it doesn't have to be at our war. I mean, the world war doesn't have to be at our doorstep. We don't have to be at war with Russia. We don't have to be at war with Syria. We can have an alliance with Syria. We can have an alliance with Lebanon. We can have an alliance with Iran. We can have an alliance with Russia because those countries, particularly Lebanon and Syria and Russia, are all very friendly to Christianity and are historically Christian territories. Just like Anatolia, it's historically a Christian territory. So why are you, Mike Flynn, why are you choosing to ally with the Al Qaeda? Why are you choosing to why are you, Michael Flynn, General Michael Flynn? Why are you choosing to ally with Al Qaeda? Why are you choosing to ally with the Jewish mafia, Zelensky, who's gotten 1 million Christians killed in Ukraine, just like his predecessor Trotsky did? Just like Trotsky got a bunch of people killed. It's same exact situation. Same exact situation. Trotsky was the same. It's like Trotsky, and now it's Zelensky. They're basically the same person doing the same thing. And that's what you support. So why are those your allies? The only possible explanation is because you hate Jesus Christ. You hate God's light. You hate the truth called the light. And you are willing to submit to the rabbis just as Judas did for a few pieces of silver.